I am Ramona Pringle. I'm a multi-platform producer, a digital journalist, and a curious human being. I started off as an actress and also went to film school to study directing and screenwriting. So I've always just been interested in telling stories and the human experience. So I decided I would go back to school and do a master's degree at NYU. I went through a program called the Interactive Telecommunications Program. And I chose it in large part because of someone named Douglas Rushkoff, who's sort of a cyber McLuhan and this incredible genius who had established a stream within ITP at NYU called the Post-Narrative Lab. And I ended up doing a lot of work with him. I worked on his book, Life, Inc., and then ended up working with him at Frontline. At Frontline, I worked on a huge multi-platform project called Digital Nation. The director was this brilliant woman named Rachel Dretson, her previous film was called Growing Up Online. And it was a situation of, we've got this, we're exploring life on the virtual frontier. We know we're gonna have something that goes to broadcast, but we need to figure out something that goes online. And it became an 18-month-long exploration of really a census of what's going on in people's real lives in terms of technology. So we had, I brought in a component to the project called Your Digital Nation, where we really went around the country and asked people what's going on in their bedrooms and in the classrooms, and what's going on in terms of our attention spans, and whether you were sneaking away from dinner to be able to check your cell phone, and how we're meeting and how we're falling in love, and really just seeing how our lives are changing with technology in a very human, YouTube, user-generated kind of way. And it was really, really exciting. I think the best advice is to just play. I know Red Burns, who's the founder of the Interactive Telecommunications Program at NYU, that's her biggest advice. The day one when you start that program, she says, don't be afraid of making mistakes. I think it's a really exciting time for people starting out because there's a huge amount of opportunity. If you know how to operate a Twitter feed to create buzz and conversation, if you've got great ideas about how to tell stories in different ways and with new platforms, people want that information, and you'll be able to make a place for yourself by not just saying, I know the latest and greatest gadgets and tools and technologies, but by saying, here's how we can use things to access people, to reach people, to connect with people. Women are out there on the front lines of this new digital frontier, and really there's women doing incredible things. I mean, if you look at what Jane McGonigal is doing, if you look at the numbers of female gamers who are playing, the users of technology, women are one of the fastest groups. So it's not that we're even producing for ourselves, but it is this idea of wanting to connect and being social and wanting, I think more than anything, that human experience. A big part of my research is online games and MMORPGs and things like World of Warcraft. And that's actually the project that I'm working on right now. And it's fascinating. I think some of the most interesting characters that you meet and the ones who want to open up the most are the women. It's really interesting, and we know sort of the stats are out there about social games and the games we play on our Blackberries and Sudoku on our iPhones, and we know that women are huge users of those games. But I think in these other milieus, with online games specifically, what they're providing is a sense of community. And it's fascinating. I think on one hand, there's a huge amount of strength from being a woman and being able to play a warrior or a hunter and having that sort of superhuman strength. But then there's a very human angle to all of it at the same time, which is wanting to connect with other human beings. And it's fascinating that our tools are enabling this. I think sometimes things like cell phones, you'll be in a crowded room and our cell phones, our connective devices are actually keeping us apart, and yet you've got something like video games, which people have forever thought were, this was this really isolated activity, and it's actually starting to bring people together. So we have all these tools, and how we envision them and how they actually end up impacting our lives, I think is all going to go through massive shifts. It's exciting times.